Hey y'all, we're back. Welcome to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast where two friends,
I'm Tamara Gauldin,
and I'm Dannelle Whiteside, tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments that we knew better but did it anyway. Each week we share real stories about our lives, about the time that life surprised us, stretched us, or just straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And this season we're switching it up a little bit with How I Learned. It's about growth lessons, life lessons, and how we learn to be better people or better employees. This episode is called How I Learned to Fit In.
That's going to be a good one. But before we jump in, how have you been?
You know, I missed you, Dannelle.
I know we haven't recorded probably about a month or so, let's just say.
And so a lot has happened over the past 2 months, but right now I'm feeling really good. It's college football season, and we're Titans now are about to have a new head coach, and so all that good stuff's fun. This is my season. I'm fall, really? Y'all. Yes.
I love the spring. That's my season. But this fall has been exciting. I talked about this in our last season that I started school. I started my doctorate at the University of Pennsylvania. So I have been going back and forth once a month to class. And I just really love school. I really do. Like, I think I must be a nerd or something, because I'm like, I just be really having fun in class.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think the way we survive now, you're kind of preparing yourself. You're like the new bunker, because I think you have to be a life learner.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, people used to store gold and canned goods underground. No. Your power now is adaptability and being a life learner. So I'm glad I'm connected to I know where my bunker is. So
yeah, I'll be Dr. Whiteside next year, and sometime next year. I want to say one thing. Since these episodes have aired, I've really enjoyed the audience interaction. I've enjoyed people telling me how the things that we've talked about have been impactful for them. I also, though, know that we're in a climate where, it's rough, and there are things that are happening in this world politically, economically, and socially, and we don't talk about that on these episodes. And I was talking to my brother about this, and so that's why I'm bringing it up. We have, for me, my biggest resistance to a lot of things are joy. I am trying to live so that my sons have as much of a joyful upbringing as they possibly can. And I know personally that there are all sorts of platforms that you can go to and read all of the news and the bad things happening in the world. And that's just not what I want to provide to the space that we're talking about. And I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know how you feel about it, because we didn't even prep this conversation.
I think that's spot on. I became inundated with news to where I stopped watching it during COVID, and I developed different boundaries with news feeds and how I get my information. And I have a very structured way of getting the news, and it's disciplined, and it works for me.
Yeah.
So I go broad stroke with the news, usually in the evening, 30 minutes flat.
Yeah.
I'll usually read something having to do with the news around midday. And then usually on Sunday morning before I go to church, I will watch usually a very, as balanced as you can be, news outlet to kind of keep me up to date. So I do feel like it's a way to be aware, but I feel like when you talk about secret sauce, those platforms are out there. The clickbait is out there. The things that gets us in an uproar, those things are out there. So this is just what they would say, different.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's important for me to protect my peace, because it's a lot. You can always find places that assault your peace.
Correct.
And this, for me, because I have a busy life and you have a busy life, we want to spend time sitting with each other and having an enjoyable conversation. And so that's what this is about. So I just want to put that out there.
No, it's out there.
Yep. Okay. So let us go to our main story segment, How I Learned to Fit In. And Tamara's going to kick off this conversation and just tell us how she learned to fit in.
Yeah, I think, and this is probably a good way to, this is probably good for your kids out there. It's probably good for you as an adult. This can kind of fit in every single aspect of your life. But growing up in small town America, a minority of many sorts, a black woman, a female. And then I learned that I was a minority by way of seeking education, learning things, and knowledge. I quickly learned that my ambition made me a minority. So, you go into school and people learn to read and write. Well, numbers were really, it was amazing, the comfort that I found with numbers. But it also put me into a different category that my peers weren't accustomed to. They didn't know the words to explain what made me different from them. So their lack of words came up with insults like, you're an Oreo.
I know most of our audience would know what an Oreo is, but tell us what's an Oreo.
So the Oreo, when you are of a certain age, it's not a cookie anymore, but it's something that had been adapted when I was a child. I'd say around probably between 7 and up. Of you're black on the outside, white on the inside, and a lot of times what that meant, like now that I have the words for it, is you are acting white, and what that meant was your grades were different. Only white people made good grades. You spoke a certain way. Only white people spoke in that way. You lived certain places. Only white people lived in those places. You aspired and dreamed to have certain things. So we were at that time conditioned that everything that was different and everything that was good was not for us, and definitely not of us, unless we were mimicking something that we weren't. So
in other words, you couldn't be smart if you were smart. It's because you were acting white.
Correct. And it's very interesting how at a young age we had those types of names for one another, and it probably, I'm not naive enough to think that it doesn't exist today. So I'd read a book called Atticus Finch is in it, To Kill a Mockingbird. And there was a character in it, and I think her name was Copernicus or Calpurnia. Calpurnia. And she was one of the servants of Scout and Atticus Finch, who was, in this particular book, he was an attorney. And I never forget when Scout went with Calpurnia to Calpurnia's home. And that's when it hit me when I read this book. Calpurnia used a different dialect. She used different words. Her sentences didn't end the same. And when she was in Scout's home, she spoke totally different. And this just wowed Scout. And that was when it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pulling a Calpurnia, right? And it was something I didn't even notice, right? But what I learned is an effort for me to fit in was an effort to be inclusive of other people. So when I was at certain events and with certain family outings, I spoke in a way that they understood, right? I spoke in a way to fit in and not be called out. Then when I went to school, I spoke in a way to communicate what I wanted and my ambitions, because I had places to go.
Right.
So it took me reading that book to realize that I was doing these things without even noticing. But the real point of it is that it really, while I was trying to fit in, I was also trying to make other people comfortable and fit in. I'll tell you another story. I remember I was in the 7th or 8th grade, and a friend of mine came and he sat by me, and he's special needs, and his name's Kim. And he sat by me, and he had the appearance of having all of his faculties. At the appearance,
you would think if you looked at him that
Correct.
he was,
and he was handsome,
normal, but
Correct.
Baseline,
Correct. But when he spoke, you immediately knew it was robotic, very limited. Well, he sat with me one day because we were waiting for, we'd gotten off the bus or what have you. You have to wait in an auditorium before the bell rings and allows you to go to class. Mm-hmm. And he sat by me and we talked, and it was just very odd. And it was like, hey, my name's Kim, very brief. I'm at that time I was going by Tammy, which is my first name. And lo and behold, the next day he came and sat by me again. Well, all of a sudden, he had started talking about me to his special ed teacher. Well, the teacher came and got me. She's like, hey, Kim is having a lot of growth. So what happened is they then allowed Kim to eat lunch with me. Mm-hmm. So whatever my lunch period was, they made it to where he can come eat lunch with me. Kim then decided to bring his friends to eat lunch with me. And I'm like, hold up now, Kim, I have a reputation here. Like, what are you doing? But what I learned is I even started to fit in with them. Mm-hmm. Like, I learned how to say things slower, do things differently, make them laugh. Then, lo and behold, they made it to where I could get out of class every year and travel with them to the Special Olympics.
Oh, that's so
and participate. Awesome. Small town America can make stuff like this happen.
Yeah.
And so I then became involved with the Special Olympics, local and traveling Special Olympics in Tennessee. Lo and behold, when it was time for me to go to high school, they allowed him to go to high school with me.
Oh, wow.
On Saturdays, we would go eat lunch. So it was interesting how I then learned how to fit in to a world that I didn't even belong in so many ways.
Right.
And how that then helped me to adapt and fit into law school, corporate America, all of these spaces that were not that familiar with me.
That's so interesting. I have a couple things that stood out of my mind when you were telling that story. The first one is, so you have a friend who has a special needs child currently, right?
Oh, I have a relative.
Mm-hmm. That has special needs child.
Absolutely.
And I always wondered, because not everybody is comfortable being around someone with disabilities.
Yep.
And I know that because I used to go to an elementary school, and then I would go to an aftercare program that also had children with special needs, children that might have been in wheelchairs, with cerebral palsy, mm-hmm. things like that. Mm-hmm. And I just picked up then that not everybody was comfortable being around people with special needs. So it always amazed me when I saw you with your relative, and I was like, she just exhibits this level of comfort that not everybody has. Mm-hmm. And now I know why. Mm-hmm. But to the other point about fitting in, that's called code switching when you're in spaces in a majority, let's say like a professional space or a majority white space. And then you, like, when I talk on the phone with my mama, it's like you,
mama.
It's just all like different, a mm-hmm. different dialect, a different discussion, a different cadence. Very different from when I'm at work, mm-hmm. And in a professional setting, the way that I speak. And that is something that I learned at a very young age. So I went to a predominantly white elementary school. It was K through 6th. So in those spaces, that's sort of how I learned that you do have to switch. The way that you speak is different in one audience to the next. And I had a similar experience of going to high school and being around more Black students, but it was a little bit different because I was at a magnet school, so we were kind of all smart, but there were still like comments, I got called Oreo here and there, at church, when you grow up going to a Black church and then you're kind of going this double dutch in an environment, you kind of get called Oreo here and there. And thankfully though, even at church, we were socialized with people who were doctors, lawyers. So I knew that Black people were excellent. Like I never Absolutely. Doubted that. I never thought, I never internalized that being smart meant somehow that it wasn't akin to my race because people in my race were smart.
But you used the word code switching. What does that mean to you?
It just means that you switch it up depending on who you're around. Like you switch the way that you speak, or perhaps the things that you share.
That's fair.
Based upon who you're around.
And it's called, like, I think in certain homes, if I had a kid, I'd just say, we call this some act right. Like, we are about to go in here, and what we're going to do is we're going to act right. So the word code, I just have this, just like me with Apple, the iPhone, late adoption, texting, all this social media. Code switching just became such a buzzword for me that I stopped using it. And so I think the word that corporate America has started using is adaptability. And because this is not adaptability is just the reality of life, right? Adaptability could very well actually be my secret sauce. Regardless of if you cannot make other people feel comfortable, because that's what it is. It's really not about you at all. If you cannot make other people feel comfortable or make other people feel uncomfortable, depending on what your role is, then it's going to be quite difficult.
So that's where I was going around to the conversation to say I was at a leadership development cohort once, and one of the facilitators is so dynamic. His name is Derek Young, and he's still a mentor of mine to this day. But basically he was like, it's not about feeling inauthentic to who you are. It's about appropriateness. Like if you're with your family, it's certain levels of appropriateness in the way that you speak, in the way that you dress around them. When you get to work, there's a level of appropriateness. So, you don't need to come in there dressed like you would at your cookout, you know? And so if you are in those spaces and you're feeling like, I don't feel authentic to myself, try to see where the baseline is, or where that is coming from. Correct. Like, do you feel like you've betrayed yourself, your character and who you are? Don't do that. But if you feel that you have to adjust how you operate because you're in a different environment, you're supposed to do that. That's not abnormal. I speak in certain ways, and there's certain ways at work even that I let dialect slip depending on what point I'm trying to articulate. But I don't feel that I'm not myself. Like, I feel I'm 100% myself at work. I'm 100% myself at home. I'm 100% myself with my friends, even though being 100% myself may look different in those spaces. And that's okay. Yeah,
I think you just nailed it. And I think we're going to come full circle to this particular how I learned to fit in, because when I think about the Against My Better Judgment section that's coming up later, this just came to my brain, and I have one that is totally opposite of how I learned to fit in.
Okay.
So we'll come full circle. It just hit me.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, thanks.
Okay, so what are you taking away from that conversation?
What I take away from that is we all have a journey. But sometimes if we flip it away from ourselves, I wish I would have known when I was younger that, okay, what I'm doing is making other people feel better. Mm-hmm. I'm making other people feel included. And then I think it would have taken away some of the sadness. So keep in mind, if folks are calling you something that you're not, then figure out a way for those very folks to include them. And it's something it's like endorphins or dopamine of making other people feel better. So if you can figure out a way to flip it, but also know who you are. To your point, you are your appropriateness, I think is the word. Mm-hmm. And 100% of the time, you are you. The person that I am in the courtroom is 100% of who I am in the courtroom. The person that I am at home is 100% of the person that I am at home. And you've got to figure out a way to make sure that you are finding those people that are kind of your Nathans, and their words actually matter to you, because there will always be noise.
Yeah, there will always be noise, that's for sure. And you just have to know who you are and understand, like I said, check in with yourself. Do I feel authentic to myself in this moment where I am? And as long as you can say yes, if you have to flip a little bit and mold yourself to be appropriate in the situation, it's okay to do that. But just don't take on other people's assessment of you, because a quote I've heard said before, and I believe it, is what people think of you is none of your business. Like, don't take on other people's negative thoughts about you. You know, there are people who can speak to your life, who know you, and, you know, if they have something to say like, hey, you probably should do that better, that's one thing. But if you're worried about people saying you're an Oreo or she talks this way or whatever, don't give that any credence. It doesn't matter. It doesn't help you one way or the other. So.
No, I like it.
Yep.
I'm really excited about the new section that we've implemented. This season, Dannelle.
It's called "We'll Be the Judge," and so we're asking you, our listeners, to submit your questions, because again, we both have kind of this legal background where I'm comfortable giving advice. That's what I've done for the last 15
even unsolicited.
yeah.
So let's
sometimes oftenly
let's pull that. But thank you. A few of you actually, you heard our call, our last episode, and you sent us emails.
Yep.
So we actually have a couple. Maybe we can get to one. Yeah, we'll start out getting to one, and maybe we'll get to more than one each episode. But what do we? We're not giving names.
She gave us her name.
Okay.
And we'll read it. I'll read it, and then we're gonna just share our thoughts.
Let's do it.
So, hi, Tamara and Dannelle. Love your show. My name is Lauren, and I have a Halloween etiquette question, which is timely. We chose this one because it was timely.
Thank you, Lauren.
I live in a neighborhood that gets flooded with trick-or-treaters every year. My issue, I see teenagers, like full-blown high schoolers, showing up with no costumes and getting a whole bunch of candy. It feels rude. Am I wrong for wanting to turn them away? Is there an age limit to trick-or-treating? Please help.
Lauren. This is... Okay, Lauren, so I'm going to try to be disciplined and answer your question. And then I just have to give some opinions on this.
Okay,
so
go ahead.
I'll give an answer. I'll let you speak, and then we just chat about this. This Halloween stuff is really tripping me out. I live in a great neighborhood that is spooky. I mean, there are skeletons, there are witches, there are tarantulas, there are skeletons of dogs. I mean, it is scary over here. But these grown kids, without so. I'll just say this. Halloween etiquette. First off, if you cannot take the time to put on Halloween clothes, okay? If you cannot put on your Halloween clothes, then do not knock on my door. Okay?
I agree.
Okay? I don't care how tall you are, because some of these, I mean, that part doesn't matter to me. My main rule, put on some Halloween clothes. If they're Halloween clothes, I don't care how old you are. But I'm going to say this. If you hear me say stop right there, that means you're too old to be walking up my steps, because now I'm feeling something different. Like, so, you know.
I'm feeling unsafe.
Correct. Correct. So if you hear me say stop right there, you need to stop, and I'll toss you something, because you are tall enough to catch. Okay? So there you have it.
I agree. I have seen in the last few years just kids showing up to my house in t-shirt and jeans. And candy is expensive. Candy is expensive.
Even at Costco.
Yes.
Can we say Costco?
Yeah, we can say.
Okay.
I love Costco, actually.
Okay. But it's high.
Anyway, so the least is to your point, the least you can do is put on a costume, or even if you just put on a Superman t-shirt. Just show you
draw a mustache,
anything. And then I've seen, and I'm not gonna, I hesitate to say this because people's resources are different.
Oh, that's fair.
I have seen people come with pillowcases to collect the candy.
Well, that doesn't bother me, because that's a really expensive Halloween trick-or-treat bag. A whole pillowcase. Actually, that's expensive.
I would say just get a plastic bag. If you're going to come with a pillowcase, just get a plastic. I know in these houses you have plastic bags because I know people keep plastic bags.
I'm fine with you saying that. The pillow, ooh, you're all that in the pillow. That's just like coming around with some drawers, trick-or-treating, and some boxer shorts. With some boxer shorts. Put candy in some boxer shorts. Anyway.
The other thing, in my neighborhood, the houses are not spaced out far. Like you can walk from house to house.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I'm caveat here, if you got a disability, because we talked about that, if you have a disability, that's one thing. But people drive from door to door now. They don't have the kids walking around. And I just feel like...
Are they from your neighborhood? Driving, or people from other neighborhoods?
We've had people from other neighborhoods come to our neighborhood, and so it's just like, come on, just get out and walk. I can see maybe you park one and go at 5 houses, but
well, since you're on this, and we're gonna, Lauren, thank you. Clearly, this is something that
we feel a way about this.
Geez, but we, so this conversation came up with one of my neighbors, and the idea is this neighborhood, some places are hilly, and then there are a lot of units in the neighborhood. So the question came up, and the folks around here, they will ride these ATVs and golf carts around. Mm-hmm. They decorate them. It's a thing. Whatever, fine. But the idea is like, I wonder if people who have stairs can come to the bottom of the stairs.
They want you to leave your door and come to the bottom
of the stairs. People who are on hills, could they just kind of come to the bottom of the hill? And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, the little ones have little legs. I could definitely understand the idea of, ooh, that sure would be nice. I call that a really, really nice to have. But the thing that resonated with me is then I started thinking about, like, you have the people who are giving out candy have no gain, right? They have spent $100, $200 on candy just to give away, right? And so I also think of it in the sense is the least you can do is walk up these steps.
Hello.
And come and get this candy. Like, so I try to always look at things in various perspectives, but when I think about literally one way out, like this is a one-way exchange. Like, number one, I'm giving you some candy. Then I'm gonna comment on this nonsense Halloween suit you have on. Then I might have to come up with something. And then you might say you don't like my candy. Like, this is all one way on the person giving out the candy.
Right. So like I'm doing all the work for your enjoyment.
Correct. And some of these kids, you got to beg. Their parents sometimes have to tell them to speak. It's like I'm doing all of this, and your mama has to say, "Tell Miss Tamara hi," or your dad has to say, "Did you tell her thank you?" Like, so it's the thought of Halloween and the expectations of other people to do something for you, and then make it even more convenient
for them.
So
no, we're not doing that.
So I guess we were real judgy on that.
Get it.
So
we were really judgy. So Lauren, I will just say I don't have an age limit on trick or treating, but at least come in a costume. And I will say that I will say no less than, where is your costume when you come to my door if you don't have one? I'll still give you candy, but I'm going to say, what happened to your costume?
What are you?
So yeah, Lauren, you're not wrong for wanting to turn them away. You're not wrong for feeling a way about them coming to 14, 15-year-olds coming to your door with no costumes on, trick-or-treating, but still give them the candy.
Hey, I can't wait. I have a killer Halloween costume this year too. So
we have family costumes.
So what are y'all?
We usually do. We are going to be okay.
Wait, do you know?
I do know, but I don't. Okay, we're going to be, I think, Marvel characters. So, do you know?
You're sounding really cryptic right now. Like, what's?
I know because it's Marvel and DC, and I didn't want to get it wrong because I don't know which one's which.
Okay,
so we're going to be. I think we're Marvel. Donovan is Spider-Man.
All right.
Shannon is Black Panther.
Okay.
Ronan is going to be the Hulk. I'm going to be Ironheart.
Is that Samuel L. Jackson?
No, it's a girl.
Oh, her. Is
And
it his daughter?
No.
Okay.
I don't really know who it was. Okay. I was looking for girls in the Marvel universe. Right. And then Sean is going to be, what did he say? Oh, Captain America.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be here giving out candy, Lauren. And I will have, I found a t-shirt that says, "This is my Halloween costume." Oh. That's how we're going to do this. So.
All right. Okay. So you said you had something against my better judgment.
Yeah. So we were talking about fitting in and things that we did against my better judgment. It just hit me. I really feel bad about it. So I met with, I am vetting financial planners right now. And it's hard because I think the real difference in deciding a financial planner is trust.
Absolutely.
And so,
my money, I trust you with that.
I mean, so I'm really vetting them right now. And it was this guy, and I really clicked with him. I liked him a lot. And it was something about this particular day. And he asked me, I hate it when people ask me inappropriate questions. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's inappropriate, maybe it wasn't, but we were going to get to it regardless. So I am talking to him. Everything is my. Our entire conversation is my. Mm-hmm. My house, my car, my 401k, my IRA, like my. I was a minosaur. Mm-hmm. And then he came to the question of, are you married? Fair question. No. My answer was no. I do think a financial planner needs to know that. Maybe not necessarily in our first interaction, but it came up. It's something you need to know if we're planning finances. He started with, "Do you have kids?" I was like, "No." And then he said, "Are you married?" And I said, "No." He then said, "Are you in a relationship?" And I said, "Yes." And I said it, and he was like, "Oh, well, you're planning." And I don't even know why I said it, but I just flat out said yes, because it was coming off the hem of a trip that I'm about to take in December. And he was like, "Oh, y'all, are you in a relationship?" And I was like, "Yeah, and I just bolstered up this whole story about how I was going.
Wait, are you in a relationship?
No.
Okay. I was like, do you have something to tell me?
No, I don't. And also I'm one of those people, like, I'm not in a relationship loosely. Like, if it's somebody that I'm just saying hey to me, that's not a relationship. Mm-hmm. So, and I was like, no, yes. And I just felt awful after, because I couldn't figure out, like, what made me say that. Like, but it's weird.
You said it thinking, you said yes in an attempt to fit in?
Well, yeah, we were talking about trips. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, me and my wife and I think he has 3 kids, did that. And I told him about a trip that I went on. And then I was talking about a trip that I was preparing to go on. And it's weird. The conversation changed. He was way more lighter when he learned that, okay. Because then he even said, how long have y'all been dating? And I said, 2 years. I mean, it was a flat out lie.
A whole person, a relationship with a whole person.
I was like, 2 years. And he's like, oh, it's getting serious. I was like, I don't know. I mean, so I say that to say, against my better judgment, I just feel like in certain atmospheres, in certain conversations, and now he is interviewing for me.
Right.
Not so the other way around.
You should, yeah.
Correct. Mm-hmm. But the whole conversation changed. It was lighter. Even when I go to certain meetings, like, I'll wear this ring on in fact, you can see it. I'll wear it because it's just, the conversations are different. So people start talking to me about their kids because they make a lot of assumptions by a ring. Yep. And it just makes me more marketable sometimes. Like, it's amazing what little things, and people like touch my hand, like so it's, against my better judgment, I did that, and I felt really bad.
Yeah.
And it just hit me.
I understand that. I understand the pressure. For instance, and I understand why you would do that. Like, we had to take my son to the ER yesterday, and if I'm going anywhere without my husband, and I have my boys, I always have my wedding ring on, because there is something about this. You get treated differently when people think you're a single mother versus when you're married. And so I have the privilege of having a spouse and, you know, getting at least not looked down on for being a single mother. And so I understand why then in that situation you would feel like, well, at least let me go with the flow and pretend I'm, you know, a married woman.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad that is the culture that we have to operate in. But I think about what we were talking about at first, and about being authentic to you, and, you know, not switching up. And so you weren't authentic to yourself in that situation.
At all, which is why I felt awful.
Yeah. But
I really felt awful. And when I think about it, I'm probably not authentic to myself when I go to these networking events and wear this ring. It is my ring. And my mom, it was one of my mom's first wedding ring. And she did give it to me. So it really is a wedding ring. But, you know, maybe I'm not. So.
And you'll figure out why it is that you're not, and when you're ready for it to be, you know, when you're ready to be authentic to yourself in that way, you'll figure it out.
But I felt awful. So.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I think that's the end of our episode. Any takeaways? Anything you want to bring out?
I still think that appropriateness word still stands out to me. And I also think it can be appropriateness for our we'll be the judge for Lauren of what is appropriate for Halloween.
Yep.
What are appropriate things to ask for? And I think it probably comes back to just reading the room. Know who you're with, what you're asking, and what the other person's role is in it. And I think that helps to shape our perspectives.
I agree. And I think the thread here for me is authenticity and appropriateness, and making sure you strike that balance of always being authentic to who you are, even if you have to assess and more for appropriateness. That's whether you're at work, whether you accepting trick-or-treaters, whether you're interviewing a financial planner. You want to be authentic to yourself and appropriate for the situation. So thank you for kicking off season 2 with us. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, I mean, just continue to reach out to us and support us. Also, if you have any type of questions or comments or will be the judge type moments, please email us at againstmybetterjudgmentpod@gmail.com. Also, when you're reviewing us, give us 5. Give me 5, Dannelle. Give us 5. We would love to hear your comments. We want thumbs ups. We want 5 stars. And if we're not 5 stars, we want to be 5 stars. So please.
Yeah. And then even if you want to send us comments on Facebook, we're there, Against My Better Judgment Pod. And on Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod. Send us a DM with your questions, and, you know, we might read them out on the show and give our best advice. We love our audience, and we want to continue to grow and share and have a good time for this season. So we'll see you next time.
See you next week.